Hey, I'm Sarah Gonzalez. Welcome to the news and why it matters. And please welcome back the triumphant return of Mr. Pat Gray.
Yeah.
Yay!
Whoa. Yay!
So happy you're finally back. Yay!
Me too.
You really missed us, right?
Yes.
I
Desperately.
can tell. Yeah.
Desperately.
What was your top story, Pat?
I think the racist racism of Megyn Kelly has become even more obvious in the last few days.
Has it?
Yeah, we'll clarify that.
Okay. All right, Jason.
I'm going to have to direct this to the camera and Florida. Floridians, what the heck is wrong with you guys?
Good question.
A friggin' socialist? Let's talk about it here in a few minutes.
All right. Andrew.
I have updates from our Canada Bureau.
Oh, all right, great. Can't wait to hear what's going on with our friends up in Canada. But first, want to thank our sponsor, Brick House. I know Pat is a huge fan of Field of Greens.
Yep,
You
I love
hate
it.
vegetables.
I hate vegetables. I never get vegetables. So Field of Greens is pretty important in my diet.
Yeah.
It's a full serving of certified organic fruits and vegetables. And so I never have to taste kale or broccoli or spinach or peas or corn or any of that stuff.
And you get your wife off your back about
Yes.
eating your vegetables.
Yes.
And it tastes delicious, so you can mix it in. I've had it in just water. And
Tastes
it's,
like Kool-Aid if you just mix it in water.
yeah, it's great.
It's good.
It tastes delicious, but you can also mix it in milk if you don't love water, which you should, or a smoothie. I mean, there are tons of things that you can just put it in. And you can maybe, I'm not sure that, I know on the directions it doesn't say to use for kids, but if you've got like an 18-year-old who you want to hide it because they don't want their vegetables, or maybe you want to hide it for your husband, I don't know. But you can go to brickhouseblaze.com and get 15% off of your first order by using the promo code GREENS, or you can text GREENS to 41411. That is brickhouseblaze.com. Pat, Megyn Kelly, super racist.
Yeah, we found out what a horrible person she was.
Yes.
When she asked a question. You can't do that. Not in America. This is America. Don't be asking questions. Not about race or or be taking offense about something. And so, it wasn't like she wore blackface. She just asked the question about why it was racist if you were just paying tribute to somebody and not mocking or making fun of them. So that got her fired.
I mean, a good thing.
Because
right?
NBC draws the line
Yes.
at that kind of racist racism. Well, unless your name is Lester Holt or Hoda Kotb, who both have dressed in whiteface. And with Lester Holt, do we have the photos of those?
We do.
The Lester Holt picture seems even more egregious because, well, I think we've got the Hoda Kotb one first. Here she is with Blake Shelton, dressed as Blake Shelton, looking like Blake Shelton, in whiteface.
Pretty white.
Yeah, pretty much whiteface there.
Wow.
And on NBC, that actually happened on the Today Show.
Wow.
But I thought they drew the line. You don't do that kind of thing on NBC.
Apparently only when it's black, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Because Lester Holt, who's a black guy, and the anchor of the NBC Nightly News, actually dressed in whiteface as well as Susan Boyle. So not only did he have whiteface, it was kind of chunky, fat whiteface.
Was that this Halloween? Because I feel like Susan Boyle is somewhat outdated.
Yeah, no, it was a couple of Halloweens ago. But
People are like, Susan who?
Yeah.
then yesterday, Al Roker dressed up as a white person, as Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
He is pulling it off. I think like I'm.
Yeah, doesn't he look great?
I know exactly who that is. Like he's doing a great job.
I mean, he doesn't have, his face is not white.
That's what he says differentiates this, because he didn't paint his face white. It's okay to be a white person and under those
Well, but
circumstances.
I'm going to swing for Al Roker on this. That has been the principle that's been espoused by most of the people
I
doing
guess
this. Is
so.
you're
Yeah.
allowed to dress up like someone. You're just not allowed to put on face paint.
However,
Although
what
it's
about
cultural appropriation.
Exactly.
Right? Aren't you appropriating white culture there by
Yes.
dressing up as a white person?
Yes, because remember there was a girl who wore an Oriental-looking outfit
Yeah,
to
Chinese.
prom. Yeah, and
Yeah.
she was reprimanded.
She was
because
hammered
she's
for it.
Not allowed to wear.
She didn't try to
something.
look like anybody from Asia.
Right.
She just actually wore an Asian dress and was persecuted for that. You can't put on, say, a Mexican sombrero. That doesn't seem to be okay anymore. And
Well,
so,
I can, but you guys can't.
well, you could, yes.
And the most
Yes.
ridiculous thing about this is they're not making fun They're not, they're not doing anything to belittle.
Right.
It literally is. I think the one with Megyn Kelly was, she was just saying like, look, if your idol is, I think, was it Aretha Franklin?
It was Diana
Diana
Ross.
Ross.
Diana Ross, yeah. You should be able to pay tribute to her. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, like, this is just ridiculous. I can't believe this.
Well, and you said Lester Holt that he added some
Added
roundness,
chunkiness to the face.
Right, so you
there.
could say that would be belittling.
Well,
to
that's
Susan
fat
Boyle.
shaming, isn't it?
Right? Yeah.
Kinda. I mean, that's just the inconsistency, the hypocrisy is kind of hard to take. And I think Megyn Kelly's probably going to be fairly well compensated when she leaves NBC, but that's not the point. The point is she lost her job over doing something much less than these people did. And the inconsistency is tough to swallow.
And you know that they just had it out for her from the beginning.
Oh, yeah. They were looking for an excuse.
Just looking for the slightest little slip up. It could have been something even more ridiculous than this.
Yeah.
It just happened to be that they got her on this one thing.
Yeah. All right, Jason, what's going on in Florida?
Oh my gosh. So the current Real Clear Politics on their average polling has Andrew Gillum up over DeSantis by 2.9 points. And it's been fairly consistent. Like there's been some like Rasmussen type polls out there that have had DeSantis pulling ahead by a couple points. But it's looking fairly obvious that Gillum is going to take this. And this is just absolutely insane. I just saw a report from the Cato Institute, which had Florida not only in the top 5 freest states in the nation, #1 freest.
Wow.
#1.
Above Texas.
Above Texas. Texas was actually middle of the road, which is very surprising to me. They were like around 20 or something like that, which is very surprising.
Still a lot of dry counties? Is that, like, I don't know.
That could be. It very well could be. The bottom 5 were like your typical, usual
Jersey,
suspects.
Rhode
New Jersey,
Island,
New York, California, one of the big ones. But after the changes that Gillum, if he becomes governor next week, would make, they would go from, and look at this swing, from the top 5 to the bottom 5.
Wow.
This is insane.
Is Cato by the way, props off to Cato. I really like Cato, but is Cato projecting that would be what would happen if all of his policies were instituted? Like if he did it and the legislature were to back up what he wants, or is it just merely him getting elected?
No, so Cato is not saying, Cato didn't even mention Gillum as far as like, just with the policies that lined up with what's in California, New York, and all that stuff. Those are the same things that Gillum is proposing.
Yes, his policies being implemented.
But just think about that swing. Like voters actually, they think their situation is that bad that they're willing to do an entire 180 flip and go the complete opposite direction.
Florida's going to go erratic? What? This is stayed Florida?
It's just so insane. I can't get the mindset there. Like you think your life is that bad that you have to go that far.
Do you think that it's in his messaging? Because I know here in Texas, we look at Beto's policies and we say, O'Rourke's policies, and we say, he's clearly a democratic socialist, but he isn't really labeling himself that.
Okay.
It's his messaging is he's disguised that a little bit.
I love that you brought that up because Project Veritas just did a video out. Have you guys seen this? They just released this video. I'm not a huge fanboy of Project Veritas. Yeah. So a lot of the times when they release some of these things, it'll be like, we got the janitor that works for Twitter, and he told us that shadow betting is going on like crazy. Yeah. I'm like, okay, what does the janitor know? But this kind of was a little eye-opening to me, and it had everything to do with the messaging that Andrew Gillum is doing and how people are responding to it and how they're campaigning it. Let's check it out right now.
So, what is he doing?
He's campaigning, he's politicking.
So you're saying that different environments, wherever he speaks, he'll address a different audience.
Yeah, that's what a politician do. We went to college together.
You did? Yeah. With him?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's how you know him?
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
So you were fighting all the good fights together?
A couple of them.
Do voters know that?
That's not for them to know.
Huh?
That's not for them to know. Remember how we're saying? Modern day fairy tales start with once I am elected. Gillum is a progressive. He's part of the crazy.
Okay.
Wow.
So I just want to point this out. So his messaging has been pretty dang radical already. Now, if he's hiding something else, like let's just go through it a little bit. He supports Bernie Sanders' single-payer for all. He supports, obviously, a lot more government involvement nationally as far as state involvement with healthcare. He's also proposed a ban on semi-automatic rifles, whatever the heck that means, because pretty much every dang rifle besides a hunting bolt-action rifle is a semi-automatic rifle by now. And from there, I don't want to even get into the weeds on that, but it's a ban on semi-automatic pistols. It's just a really quick step from there. His radical policies go on and on and on to include a 40% corporate tax increase.
Wow.
That would be, yeah.
That puts him in line. So that would make them, bar none, the high corporate tax capital of the South, by far. But that would also put them in line with places like California, where we've all seen what their corporate taxes have done. I mean, I read a story not too long ago that said since I think around 2009 or so, around 10,000 companies, small and large, have left California in droves specifically due to their corporate tax. Now, the entire strategy, like I said before, in Florida for the past, decade plus, has been lower corporate tax to attract businesses. So now you're doing the exact opposite. And let's also say, what is a corporate tax? And this is the same thing like what tariffs are. It's the exact same thing.
A sneaky tax.
Yeah, exactly, Andrew, exactly. A tariff is a tax on you. Yeah. It's not a tariff on these other companies, it's on you. A corporate tax, yeah, it's branded as a tax on these corporations, but you take the brunt of it. They have to raise prices and you take the brunt of that.
They pass along the savings to us.
Right.
Yes.
Can I back up a little bit? Because I watched the video and I watched that and I was like, oh, wow, so they went undercover and they embedded themselves and they found out that politicians exaggerate.
I know, right?
Oh, and also politicians make promises they can't keep or intend to keep, and they message depending on groups. I was like, this guy deserves a Pulitzer for this breaking news.
I totally agree.
All 15 minutes of it.
I totally agree, but I was like, really, if he's hiding other things and we already know these radical things about him, what the heck else is he hiding?
Yeah, what is the allure in Florida?
I don't.
To this guy, why?
Or what is the disconnect
don't know.
that they're not understanding?
Yeah.
I don't think Florida's ever going to want like the Anthony Hopkins of politics. Florida's always going to want like the loud thing because Florida's it's a grab bag state, so it's never going to have like that kind of centrist output coming out.
You know, a good question on this is if Florida catches a cold, to put it in this little metaphor, will the rest of the country, sneeze? And I'm wondering if this first radical election will just kind of like kick off the dominoes and it'll start spreading all over the place. We already know there's Ocasio-Cortez out there.
Yeah, but
Bernie
how is
Sanders.
it? But they will see the negative repercussions, won't they? And then how do you see it continue to spread?
I don't even know if they will see the negative repercussions in the beginning
because
this is the way socialism really works. I mean, once you start doing these things,
and
5 years from then, 10 years from then, you're like, holy crap, what happened? We're bankrupt.
Whatever argument you have against socialism, the counter argument is, well, we got blocked by people that didn't give us sufficient money, so there's no way to disprove it. And out of curiosity, because I have not been following the Florida elections much, I'm very much bothered by the kind of new division in the Democratic Party between old liberals and actual out-and-out capitalist socialists. So like Olivia Cortez is an out-and-out socialist. Octavio, how do I say it? Ocasio-Cortez.
I feel really offended right now.
Is Gillum, he's on board with certain Sanders plans, but is he actually, like, by his own admission, is he a socialist, or is he...
No, I don't think you'll get any of them saying, I want to, completely take over the means of production. I don't think any of them will say that. Of course, but a lot of them are endorsed by DSA, and a lot of them support many DSA policies.
Does he say he's a democratic socialist?
No, I've not seen him say he's a democratic socialist.
Because Ocasio-Cortez has, right?
Well, see, that's the thing that freaks me out is it's like I thought we got rid of that. I mean, there were all sorts of problems that we're still working on, but it's sort of the general agreement that markets are good. We'd sort of arrived at, and there's now this kind of wing rising in the Democratic Party of going, actually, markats are evil, right. and like that really disturbs me.
Well, the DSA, which they're trying to disguise themselves as being just as if putting democratic in front of socialism makes any kind of difference. But they're trying to disguise themselves as no, everything's elected, everything's fine. We're just about like a larger welfare state.
Sweater vest authoritarianism.
Right, but if you read their manifesto on their website, they tell you very specifically what their end goal is, and it says, go to their website, the end of capitalism. That is the nationalization, the taking over the means of production. No matter how you try to hide it and disguise it right now with these new candidates like Gillum, Ocasio-Cortez, and Sanders, that's their end state goal.
So then in that worldview, we are presently living in the Empire Strikes Back, following the conclusion of the Cold War, where all of that imploded. All right.
Making a comeback. Yeah, for sure.
Florida, are you listening? Wake up. All right, we'll hear what's going on in Canada when we return. Andrew, what's going on with our friends in Canada?
So in Canada, they are debating a proposal to put cigarettes or smoking causes cancer on every individual cigarette. So if you've seen cartons of, if you've seen cartons of cigarettes, both in Canada and the United States, I think this is a fairly standard thing. It says, it's like a really big thing on the back. It's required by law. Smoking causes cancer. And sometimes they'll have like a heart or a lung that's been taken out to like really drive it home. I do not like government paternalism. I'm not a government paternalist. I don't terribly mind the government coming in and adding information. So, for example, I don't mind a requirement that shows calories on food. That doesn't bother me so much because it's just giving citizens, hey, you have the opportunity to look at this information, whereas I would have a very big problem with, say, like a cigarette tax.
The nutrition information also alerts you to which product is probably going to taste better because if it's higher in calories, you know to go with that
Trans
product.
fat.
It's going to taste
If
better.
you've got trans fat, it's going to be delicious.
Right.
So, like with this one, the thing that I'm kind of divided on here is, again, I don't have necessarily a problem with government just supplying information on something, but what bothers me is I don't smoke, right? Where I smoke one cigar a year and then I immediately regret it because someone will offer it at like a party or something and I'm like, oh, a cigar, I'm going to feel manly. And then I'll smoke half of it and I'll remember that I feel terrible and I want to vomit and all these different things. So for me, this isn't a big deal. What I'm curious about is if you are a regular smoker who's like actually smoking 2 or 3 six-packs a day, I wonder if that just makes you feel bad. If that's the end result of that, is you're like, wow, guess I'm going to get cancer. Can I think more about that? Because I don't know that that's actually going to push you. I think this could be the type of legislation that makes people like me that don't smoke feel good. And I can go, yeah, stick it to those idiots. How dare they smoke? The morons. So I think there could be a negative effect to this, just beyond the simple labeling.
Interesting.
Can I weigh in on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm personally, I don't think I'm for any kind of warning. I don't think from the government or imposing that on. No, I don't, because we're not babies. And once you set us up to be babies, like, hey, you guys are too stupid, basically, to do your own homework, to do your own research. I think it should be illegal for them to lie about certain things.
And smoking, by the way, we've known this for a while now. It's
Right.
It's not like
Only since 1963, though, so it's pretty new.
What about?
You don't have to double down on every single cigarette in the pack.
But what about? Okay, so aside from cigarettes, what about the food thing, the calorie thing that we were talking about earlier? Do you agree with that, or you don't think that that restaurants should be required to?
No, I don't agree with that either. I don't. If I want to be fat and eat myself to death, that's on me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like
I'm in the middle on this because there are a lot of Americans who don't understand nutrition. It isn't taught very well in schools, and they want to go and order a salad. And they think that the salad with all of this cheese and all of this dressing and all of these other things in it, they're like, well, I'm ordering a salad, so I'm trying to be healthy, and they don't understand why they're not losing weight.
So the nanny state should let you know that?
I mean, as long as they're not telling you eat this and not that, and they're just saying, hey, there are hidden ingredients in here that you don't know about. I don't necessarily have a problem with that because I think restaurants are notorious for adding a bunch of hidden things. You think that you're getting grilled chicken, but they've got this, butter and a whole bunch of other stuff that you don't know.
If McDonald's wants to lie to me about their calorie intake, then I'm going to go to Burger King that doesn't lie to me about it. Free market fixes all.
I'm going to say that the part where the nanny state comes in that I'm very bothered by is when there's actual steps to prohibit you from doing something or take your money. That's the thing that bothers me. Like usually the argument here is not over labeling with smoking. It's over whether or not to hike cigarette taxes. And empirically, it does lower smoking. But the thing is, it lowers smoking with people that are on the edge that don't need that help anyway. And so the people that are really addicted to smoking just pay more money. So it's a way of just taxing poor people for being poor and stupid. And that's, it's just sort of this angry nanny state. So I'm like, overall, I'm with you. Nanny state bad.
That's actually, what they're doing in Canada is actually on the low end compared to other parts of the country.
Oh, yeah.
Last place, I remember I was in Thailand, and it was hilarious. We were in a little like 7-Eleven in Thailand. And it is mandate by the government that they have to show not only the wording that these are dangerous, but pictures on the pack. So instead of seeing like Marlboro or something like that, you see guys with their throats that have like been ripped out or whatever.
Really?
You walk in and you're like, you turn right around.
I was in Scotland for a wedding recently, and the guys were going to get cigarettes and cigars and stuff, and I was like, does this stop you? And they're like, no, it makes me feel bad. And I was like, well, I don't know that that's serving any purpose then if it just makes you feel bad. Like, I'm not sure this is actually good legislation.
Right.
Pat, Trump tells the truth.
Well, he tries. I mean, when he can.
But
I think that was his exact phrase, is that he tries. I do try to tell the truth when I can. Take a look at what he had to say. It's
Finally,
interesting.
you remember well in the campaign, you made a promise. You said, I will never lie to you. So can you tell me now, honestly, have you kept to that promise at all times? Have you always been truthful?
Well, I try. I mean, I do try. I think you try too. You say things about me that are not necessarily correct. I do try, and I always want to tell the truth. When I can, I tell the truth. I mean, sometimes it turns out to be where something happens that's different or there's a change, but I always like to be truthful.
When something's different, or there's a change, or when it's inconvenient for me, or when I don't want to, when I can't.
I got to say, that's the first time Trump has actually sounded like a politician instead of a game show host. Like I actually felt vaguely comforted by that, because it sounded like the kind of thing a politician would say.
It did, and it's something a politician has said. Hillary Clinton just said it a few years ago. She tells the truth when she can, and she always tries to tell the truth.
If I'm John Kelly, I'm like Chief of Staff John Kelly. I'm telling the guy, like, okay, when he goes off the rails like this is the guy with the nuclear football.
Yeah.
You run in and say, right now, it's lighten up right now. You get him the heck out of there. Because I mean, come on.
he just he does not know when to stop. It's the second day in a row I'm using the term verbal diarrhea on the show, but it's just like, stop talking.
If I run for office, here's what I will do. I promise to both tell the truth and lie. However, I'm going to do it based on rolling the dice. I will write down things, and then I'm going to roll the dice and go 6. All right, I'm lying about that, and I'll just come out and lie about it. So I won't know what I'm going to lie and be truthful about. That's the pact to make with America.
All right, before we go, want to thank our sponsor, My Patriot Supply. So you never know when there's going to be some sort of nationwide disaster. There have been some hurricanes recently or flooding, and you lose power, and you have no idea what to do, because then your fridge is out. And I actually, before I started working here, I had not even considered it. But it really is huge, because you're not going to have any food left. My Patriot Supply has a 25-year shelf life, and their foods are delicious. I know, Pat, have you
Oh, yeah.
My Patriot Supply?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's delicious. It's better
is.
than like finding bugs to eat when you're in that position.
And people always say, well, if you're hungry enough, you'll eat anything. Well, yeah, maybe, but I don't have to. I could eat good food.
Right, exactly. Right now, they have a special. You can get 2 whole weeks of breakfast, lunch, and dinner emergency food supply for only $75. That is a steal. That's cheaper than like taking your family out to eat, and you get 2 weeks of it. You can go to preparewithnews.com. That is preparewithnews.com. Get your 2-week emergency food supply, and we'll be back in a minute.
Is it packaged like that? Like in a couple, like a...
If you have not gotten your tickets, Glenn and Stu, they are gone. They are on the road, on tour. You can go to glennbeck.com/tour. Go see the Addicted to Outrage tour. It's going to be really funny. I think people forget Glenn can be so serious that he's actually really funny. So should be a really good time. Also, I'm not sure can we get a camera over here so I can show my lovely little tank top that I have. We've got all new merchandise. It is at shop.theblaze.com. You can get tank tops, you can get regular t-shirts, you can get, I know there's some Pat Gray Unleashed
There is.
apparel, so you can get
T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats. I think that's
coffee,
it. Right now.
there's coffee mugs.
I heard
Yes.
the day it went live, Pat Unleashed was the first merch to go off the shelf, too.
No way.
How about that?
Wow.
Amazing.
And we're going to have some News and Why It Matters merchandise available also. But you can get that right now at shop.theblaze.com. And then also, we are going to have a special election night coverage. It'll be the News and Why It Matters format. Stu's going to be at the chalkboard breaking down all of the polls or all of the results as they're coming in. Should be a good time. Pat Gray is going to stay for a little bit, even though he has to get up super early, so we probably won't have him at the end.
Well, I don't have to get up till 3 the next
Oh,
day, so
that's sleeping
I got
in.
plenty of time.
It'll be a lot of fun, so tune in and we'll see you in overtime.